going in for the knockup. The Ragnarok's been used. They're jumping in. The barrel is stolen. None of it have done it.
It's all about the passion, man. Every live game, I'll be awake all night just thinking about the adrenaline rush.
To pick up this is they do find a big charm actually. Cask in, and that's the shutdown. Dragdar swipes
There's a combo.
And this is such a filthy fight for Singularity. MNM losing everyone. It's a triple kill onto Dragdar.
Sharp and Eric's nobody have. I think the game's over. It's going to be very hard. The fact that if it does need to find a way back in,
good
they are lucky.
flash. Oh, Chrisberg cast back into Doom, and Hoyes will secure the kill. Touch standing in the middle of the team at the teleport.
I see all the things in my head, you know, the faker, what was that going on?
What a way to start the fourth week of the NLC with Dragdar's Galaxy Brain exploding. Guys, welcome to the NLC. Of course, before we get into it, got to say thank you to our sponsors, Telia, MasterCard, and El Giganten. We are switching up the desk a little bit today. Orcs will be joining us from the casting desk, joined here by Trouble. We're going to have a really good week of games today. That's actually what script. Let's go on to getting you guys involved at home. I'm starting off on a good foot, clearly starting off on a good foot. Let's go on to how we're going to get you guys involved at home. We have a play of the day, a vote over on our social media channels. Search NLC LOL in any of your social media channels, and you should be able to find instructions on how to get involved. Loads of RP to give away. We are currently in week 4, so I believe we have a total of 100,000 RP up for grabs over the course of the week. Plus, that's like loads of skins. Absolutely loads of skins for people. That is so many skins. But before we start breaking down all of the wonderful games coming your way today, we also have a little bit of a homage to the junglers in the NLC. So take it away.
I'm always keeping my eye on junglers when it comes to pro play. If a team is looking dominant, generally speaking, you can just follow the jungler around and just watch what he's doing. And from that, you can get a whole bunch of information about how the team plays and how they find success.
One with the ulti and Flaxish looking for the Gnar.
Oh, the Gnar.
He find it, gets the big one, and this is just Dusty mopping up 4.
It's really important to have communication between jungler and lanes, that your lanes communicate wave states and what they want to do with waves, and the jungler needs to like adapt his clear etc to the wave state. So the communication is really key for the jungler, so the jungler should also be really vocal.
You'll have a lot of different plans from other people and then trying to identify the best one and then actually sticking to that.
You're always under pressure. Everyone is telling you, hey, can you come here? I need help here. Can you come help me push the wave? Can you give me the blue buff, the red buff? You know, it's a lot of stuff.
And I like how we had a big talk about junglers, and the plan for 11.4 is to just nerf the role into the ground. So we're going to just see it. Yeah, we'll just see everyone playing like Sejuani, just slaves their laners. So, you know, we'll have a bit of hype for this week for them, but it's not going to last.
It's a send-off. It's a send-off this week for junglers. I mean, we don't know. I mean, I guess they are they guaranteed going through? I don't know if they're guaranteed going through yet, but it's going to be a very interesting change. I think it's going to be definitely shake up, and a lot. I saw a lot of people complaining that why do this mid-season? Why not wait until things are over? Gonna have to completely switch the way we approach the game. But hey, junglers are really strong right now, so they probably did need a bit of toning down.
Well, now in the past 9 years, you know.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem will be that people cannot blame the junglers in the solo queue anymore. It's not going to be Diffie in the Jiffy anymore, unfortunately. So
oh, God.
all of us poor laners will not have anyone to blame.
Who are we going to blame? Who are we going to blame, Georgia? Guys, let's take a look at where we are.
Hey, I'll still blame my
NLC.
jungler, just saying.
Yeah, same. Let's take a look at where we are in the NLC so far. We can have a look at the standings. Let's begin with Group A. XL, yes, at the top of the table, tied with Tricked. XL losing. I believe they lost to Nordavind, if I'm correct. Yeah, they lost to Nordavind, which was a bit of a surprise loss for XL, but it does mean they now have some competition at the top end of the table with Tricked, equaling their scoreline. We have then Granite and Nordavind and Godsent all kind of in the middle of the pack. Those second 2 places for the playoffs kind of up for grabs right now. You genuinely feel like XL and Tricked are almost a shoe-in for those 2 spots, but there's still a lot to play for at the bottom end of the table here over in Group A. Anything that's standing out to you, Trouble, about this group?
I'm just really excited for Granite. You know, I had a talk with Sahira and he was like, listen, you weren't on the show for 2 days and we lost. Like, what's that? My buff went away. But I'm here for this week, so I can't wait to see them again. I don't know if he has pulled a 3rd champion out of his vast champion pool that he already has of Rise and Victor, but I'm excited to see what Granite can do overall.
we have seen teams going down the ban Victor, ban Rise strategy versus Granite, and it has caused some issues for them. Trouble, we could say it lightly like that. Let's look over to Group B then and have a look at the other side of the coin in the NLC, and you can see Fnatic Rising and Singularity are tied for the top spot. And actually, what's really interesting to me about this season is there is no clear, like, especially now we're past the halfway point. Neither of the academy teams are just completely dominant, away and ahead of everything, just guaranteed shooing for first. There is still some competition at the top end of the table, which is really interesting. But Barrage, carry on, go Ox.
I was gonna say, I would even say even in the games they've won, I don't think either of them looked completely convincing. We've had definitely times before in the NLC and the UKLC where teams have come in and just looked absolutely dominant. Fnatic last split looked really strong throughout the regular season, but that hasn't been the case. And it's not just the fact that they have a loss on the board. In those games, there's been mistakes, there's been lack of coordination, and I think it still is anyone's game.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And the only thing is that Riddle and MNM currently at 1 and 5. So you feel like with them just chasing Cova, Barrage, Singularity, and Fnatic Rising feel relatively comfortable in their position in this group. It feels like it's a kind of a three-way slog for that last spot in the playoffs in Group B. Barrage obviously do need to watch their back. They aren't uncatchable, but it definitely feels like it's more the bottom end of the table that will be fighting out for that 4th spot in this group. Of course, we had some great moments last week, so let's take a look back at some of the moments that we had from the previous week. And Jake, I've seen what you said, Jake, in the chat while we look at the replays, and I swear to God, Jake, you've said worse things on cast in terms of pronunciation. So I'm just going to leave it at that, mate. Yeah, just going to leave it at that.
Okay, I'm just so excited about Nordavind, ex-Scoundrel, because they finally managed to get out of the slump, and they did that by beating BTXL, the only org in this tournament that had not been beaten yet. Crispek on that Kai'Sa was absolutely phenomenal, and Ericsson really showed why scaling champions are his jam. He went completely, and he didn't die the entire game. I think he was something like 9-0 and something on the Orianna. Absolutely beautiful, and I really hope we do see this face of Nordavind from here on out.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that we saw that big of an upset, but it feels like every team in the league feels to a degree beatable, and every team feels like they can take wins. We just saw some clips from MNM's game, and them beating Cova was, didn't end up beating Cova, but putting up a good effort against them, which is a complete stark difference to Spring when we saw this team go winless for such a long time. And I feel like on anyone's day, they can really put up a big opposition to some of these rosters.
And that last clip also exemplified why you don't give Vazor
that Aatrox.
Yeah, because he was very, very good on that champion. Okay, so let's take a look towards today's matches. We can have a look at the matches that you've got coming your way. We're going to kick off the day with MNM versus Riddle. That is a battle at the bottom of the table for Group B, but it is an important match. Again, a win here will help push one of those teams towards that 4th spot. Fnatic Rising versus Cova, Singularity versus Barrage, and then to end the day, we have Trix versus Nordavind.
Yeah, I think the big one for me is Singularity Barrage, because I think both of these two teams are really trying to fight for dominance within their group. We've obviously seen the likes of Fnatic being, the top team within there, but Barrage managing to take a game with them was massive, but Singularity currently leading ahead of them. So I really think there's a lot of onus on that one, and we'll get to see which one's coming into playoffs looking stronger.
Or it could be the Trick Nordavind game, because Nordavind have just come out hot from the BTXL, from the victory over BTXL, and now they're fired up. And on the other hand, there's Strict, who's also trying to catch BTXL at the top of the standing. So if Nordavind can upset them, we're talking about them beating the 2 top teams in their group. Maybe they're revived.
I think you're completely correct. I think there's going to be a lot of really interesting games, notably for Group B standings as well. Barrage versus Singularity is big for Group B standings. Barrage could equal Singularity in that group stage, and then obviously at the bottom of the table we have both MNM and Riddle exactly equal in terms of standings too. So you both are completely correct. There's a lot of I think important Group B games today as well. And of course we are now heading towards the end of the split. I think we've got one more week of regular play, if I'm correct. That's going to be next week, and by that point we are looking to secure people in the playoff spots, and that's going to be huge because obviously we've got very limited time left to fight for those spots, and those teams that are at the bottom of the table need to start getting their wins now. Otherwise, they are really staring down the barrel of elimination from those groups.
I think as well, if you have a bad week, you've only, because it's such a long week on those 3 days, you don't have much opportunity. You mess up this week, and you're in a really precarious position. If you don't come into that last week just playing well, you're really going to struggle. It's been a much shorter regular season in terms of like total time, and it feels like a lot of teams just haven't had as much opportunity to mesh together. Even the academies, even the top end teams. I think the only one I'd kind of throw an exception to is Singularity. I think they've been stinking really well, but I feel like a lot of teams haven't hit their potential yet, and they're running out of time.
I also think at this point, you should have realized what your team wants to do, right? You should have gelled together. I think it was Prosto who said, if you're going to get losses, get them out of the way super early so you can see what's wrong, so you can correct it, so you can play better as a team. If we've reached this stage where we're so close to playoffs and you still haven't figured it out, it's going to be so tough to compete with the top dogs like Trip, like BTXL, like Singularity and Fnatic.
Well, before we talk about this first matchup, let's take a look at the predictions for the week. We can see what the casters believe. And I think actually the predictions set up a nice little discussion between Trouble and Orcs here, because to kick things off, it is a bit of a split field between MNM and Riddle here, with Trouble going for MNM and Orcs going for Riddle. Everybody has selected Fnatic. I think Trouble has kind of bucked the trend a bit and gone for Barrage, but then Orcs has bucked the trend a bit and gone for Nordavind in the final game. And I'll probe those two particular predictions later on, but I do want to essentially give you both a moment to make your case for MNM and Riddle, because of course they are equal on standings. They are exactly level at the bottom of the table in terms of performance in the NLC so far. One would say that they are absolutely level. I'm going to come to you, Trouble, first. Why MNM?
I believe they have a really strong roster, and coming back, you know, with a Nordics champion such as Raxi, they do have what it takes to at least get into playoffs. But so far, it's been a little bit underwhelming. They don't seem to sync together very well. If you have a look over on the socials, they're all not feeling their best at the moment, which is really sad to see. And I believe that, you know, the mid-jungle synergy is just not working very well. But if it does, we've seen Ed do amazing things on a good day. But I believe there's been more underwhelming days for me on that mid-jungle synergy. And if it goes well, they can definitely be on top on that matchup.
Yeah, I think for me, for Riddle, there's a lot of players of a really strong caliber. We've seen Sayu with some massive performances, Bravado obviously previously been on Fnatic Rising with his duo partner Or, and I think it's just, at the moment, they've been kind of skill checking their opponents, and it's very hard to win an entire game against the tougher teams that way. I think if they've gone away and put a bit more coordination to things, they've practiced working more as a team, coordinating plays, setting up, you know, having numbers advantages, I think they have the individual skill to be punching far above where they currently are. And it's a big if, because obviously if they haven't got that coordination, there's a good chance MNM beat them, but I'm hoping that they've managed to find it for this week.
And it's funny because me and Orcs just literally mentioned the same exact things that need to be done for both teams. It seems to be, you know, falling apart on the details, which is macro, movement on the map, vision, which technically, you know, be the basics. And this is what we said, if you haven't got it down up to this part, it's going to be extremely tough to get into playoffs from here now.
And the thing is, even if you lose this, it's not over, because there's still relegation's a looming threat. And looking at the Telia teams, there's a lot of stacked rosters there, a lot of players we've seen in the upper leagues. I mean, Rai is playing, having been on Riddle and having made it to EU Masters, he's now playing on one of those teams vying to get in the NLC. So if you do lose this, if you are looking towards relegations, you still have to find out how to coordinate as a team, because you will get knocked out.
Granted came as well from there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. You both hit the nail on the head. Kova came from there, and they're currently above Riddle and MNM right now. So as you said, this is an important game for both Riddle and MNM. If you lose here, your playoff dreams and those relegation realities are looming heavily on the horizon. So this is an important game. Bottom end of the table for Group B. It is a playoff race spot, but also a relegation avoidance match too, realistically. Let's see how it plays out. After a break, we're coming to Champion Select. Battle of Group B, MNM versus Riddle. Bottom of the table, both 1 and 5. We have got a lot riding on this. Now, this is not make or break for either team. I want to reiterate that if one team loses and one team wins, there is still wiggle room at that end of the table for things to change. But given their relative positions and given their performances against some of the top teams, both of them over the course of this split, you would put a lot of importance on this match in terms of both avoiding relegations, but also continuing that fight for the playoff spot.
I'd say if I had to put more pressure on anyone, it's definitely MNM. Riddle hold the 1-0 in the head-to-head matchup. So if they win this one, it's a 2-0. Becomes almost impossible for MNM to catch them and overtake them. So really, MNM want to tie this head-to-head here and then obviously get that score advantage. So just huge pressure on them. Again, it's not completely over. It's not doomed if they lose, but it just makes things so much harder.
For me, it just seems like the two teams have like different duos that perform better. We were all expecting Bravado, to be the playmaker, but personally, I feel he's been a little bit underwhelming on the duo, at least in the bot lane. So I feel on the side of MNM, they do have a much stronger bot lane, which I believe Raxi should play towards. Back when he did win the Nordics, he was actually playing for Crispec back then. It was all about the bot lane, all about the gags in the bot lane. He sported the Java and he can do it again. And when we go over to Riddle, I do believe that their mid-jungle duo synergy is so much stronger. So we might see the two teams focusing on these two parts of the map.
We are into Champion Select, our first of the night, already through the bans. Didn't realize we had actually got those 3 bans already ready to go. Obviously, Bravado has not got his hands on the Taric. Graves, Gragas, Udyr, Olaf, and Seraphine all banned away with an Azir first pick coming out from MNM Gaming.
Yeah, so it's obviously something comfortable for Air, but it also provides a lot of priority. And as Trouble was just saying, Riddle have tended to have a lot of strength in the mid-jungle combo, so it's important that your mid lane is able to find that priority. Otherwise, you can just get run over, and you're not going to be able to help out your bot lane set up Miabaros.
I want to very briefly, one of the biggest criticisms that of Riddle have had has been against Apples. Apples has felt lackluster in the mid lane, so maybe it's just them trying to put a bit of a gauntlet down there. But I saw you guys nodding gently at the Aphelios and Thresh that have been locked in already on the side of Riddle.
I literally just mentioned that Raxi would play for the bot lane back when Crispec was in the team, and he would have Jarvan and literally go from lane to lane to lane, take summoners, and then rinse and repeat. But you would always see him mainly down the bot lane. Something else I wanted to add about Azir, it just ensures that this Kai'Sa will not get locked in. All these short range ADCs are just so hard to play into an Azir. So not only does it give you priority, it gives you a stable mid lane that can hold his own with the Azir, and you also have all the zoning tools. But getting the wombo combo with the Misfortune Jarvan, you're very susceptible to not have all these available tools to get away from the rock that was just locked in.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a bloody game. There's so many great engage tools. Even just with the Malphite and the Jarvan, both teams can just start fights when they want. And I think something that when teams are struggling should be looking towards is ease of execution. We've said it all last split, we're saying it again this split. When you're not doing well, you want a comp that's easy to play. And I think ones like this where you just have big go buttons that you can press really sets you up.
Oh my god, you hit the nail on the head when you said ease of execution and the go buttons, because there's nothing easier than a Malphite ult into a wombo combo or a Jarvan ult into the bullet time of Misfortune. So I 100% agree with you on that one. It's going to be super bloody.
Do we see Orianna get locked in then if it doesn't get banned here for Riddle? Like, it's just a classic. I call it the bronze combo because it's like the Malphite Orianna combo is like as old as time for League of Legends.
Dream is dead.
I'm just wondering. Yeah, the dream's dead. Yeah, I was thinking like it's like I think it was the likely ban for MNM, but obviously it was something that could have been worth considering if it wasn't banned. But now Riddle have to go back and either select, well, I guess you select your mid laner here because you are looking, I guess, for top lane pick for Kex in this scenario. So mid lane, it's actually the jungler. I feel, oh yes, of course, because Malphite got legged in. I'm an absolute idiot. That is the Lilia that comes through for Riddle.
Oh, I'm thinking here. We've got a lot of AP, we've got a tank in the top lane, we've got an AP jungler. Yone is still in the game, Pantheon is still in the game. Could Apples make a comeback with something like this? This is what I'm going to say, because seeing here the Lilia, I'm like, you need a strong AD lane to play towards unless you're going to be perma bot lane to try and mirror Raxi. And that's not necessarily your idea of playing the game because your mid jungle do so much stronger at this point.
We'll wait to see what MNM choose for their final pick. Silas is pretty solid. Like, is Silas stealing a Malphite a Stylus stealing a Malphite ultimate alongside a Java Misfortune. That's pretty spicy.
Yeah, and I think this composition has so many tools to get on top of this Aphelios, even with the Thresh there, and the Misfortune and the Azir can assist that from such a long distance away. And the question is going to be really, what can Riddle pick to sort of round out the composition? I know Apples has played the Karma before. It can add that layer of protection, but I think you need a second carry, because if they kill the Aphelios, your composition will fall apart. And actually, I'm going to go for the Varus. This is specifically something people used to play into the Azir. You'd go Lethality Varus, and you could just poke him out from a distance. It's one of Azir's weaknesses, is that long-range poke, and it does provide that secondary carry. So should the Aphelios go down, they have another option. But I will say, there isn't as much DPS on this Varus. It's not going to carry as hard.
I'm just so scared here for Riddle because everything seems a little bit too situational. If the Q's hit by the Varus, if the hook hits by the Thresh, if Lilia gets the sleep, sure, Malphite, Kexon Malphite has the go button, but who else is going to start running in? Whilst if you look at MNM Gaming, they have Rakan, Bullet Time, Javan, Silas, who can steal any ult. It could be the Varus ult, it could be the Malphite ult. They're literally all going to be jumping on you together with the Azir. It's going to be extremely hard. One point that we've always been talking about, though, is the fact that MNM cannot actually coordinate themselves. For the love of God, they have 5 overpowered wombo combo ultimates. 2 of them at least should coordinate with each other, and I think it's going to be in the bag.
Closing thoughts, Hawks, on these comps.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think we were talking about ease of execution. I think MNM have it. If they mess up, yes, there's an Aphelios who's going to cause issues. There's a Chains of Corruptions, the Lily asleep. So it's not an automatic win. But I think when you have so many tools and you have these immobile carries to go towards, MNM have set themselves up for success. It just comes down to, can they coordinate? Can they find their execution? And can they not fall at the first hurdle in the laning phase?
Yeah, I think that will be the test because they have the superior teamfight comp, absolutely 100%. We have obviously a change on the casting desk this week. It is the return of the Gould Rain. Going to hand it over to our boys.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. Hello and welcome to the caster desk as we're getting ready to go into our first game here of week 4. Gorborg, welcome to the caster desk, and I'm going to ask you a quick question because I have no idea about how this works. How does Silas work with Lilia R? What does he do to apply the sleep?
I think it's just your general damage. So it's either you could use it. I've seen some pretty cool scenarios where you have this Lilia ultimate. Obviously, you steal it. You go in a team fight. You E. You have your passive. Damage them all, and then you can kind of get that 5-man sleep still. Ooh, obviously, still kind of hard to get, but yeah.
It's honestly a matchup I've never seen. Now I think about it, I'm like, it's actually kind of nutty, but really liking this Silas pick into the Malphite as well. You can steal away that R, gets the AP scaling, and it's a Malphite R that hits different, you know. So that's gonna be a really nice one. Honestly, big wombo combos on both of these teams, and like Orc said, I think we're in for a bit of a bloody game to start us off.
I completely agree, and honestly, the teamfight composition that comes out from MNM, just having a look at it, I'm kind of scared for Riddle here, just because in general, you see the Azir pick, you get the Jarvan, and then when the Silas come in, so you also have the Malphite, yes, you have Aphelios, a champion that likes having people run into you, you kite back, and that's kind of where you're at your best. But the problem here for you is that there's so much CC that you need to kite back on. Flash will always be important for you to have, or Bravado with perfect lantern placement so you can kite back. Because you're still kind of squishy. You got essentially one frontliner, which is the Malphite. Then you run in and out with the Lilia. So you need to play this really smart. And that's kind of what worries me, because on the smart department, Riddle haven't really been living up to it.
I think that's fair. I mean, if you do look at the scores right now, both these teams are 1 and 5 in Group B, so they're low down in the standings. You know, relegations are starting to kind of come up close behind you, and you do need to keep that in mind. So, you know, it's an important win. Like Scoundrel was saying, though, there is flexibility. If one of these teams wins here, well, one of them will win. That's how this works. But, you know, if one of the teams wins, the other team's not out of it. It's still like they can claw their way back, but it's a win here is a big step forward towards at least avoiding relegations. So that's kind of what we're playing for here, is just avoiding that. I mean, playoffs are, I don't know I think they're still possible, but all the other teams in their group, like XL, are just gonna have to lose a lot of games. So it's a very big task if we're gonna be looking towards that. But we are onto the Rift once again. Sorry about that quick pause. It's been a little while since I've seen the Varus mid.
Yeah, it's definitely been some time. He's opted to go for the Comet, so we're out for the kind of poke, and also to kind of go back to the standings, the relegations, the playoffs. Yeah, playoff is kind of out of touch, but for the real objective here for MNM is that if they win today, they go even. They've already lost once to Riddle. If they lose to Riddle now, they also lose the head-to-head. So even if they were to go even after the season is done, then they would just be relegated. No tiebreaker, no anything, you'd just be out. So this win right now is so monumental for you. MNM already played the relegation last split. You don't want to see them do it again.
No, and I feel bad because I feel like this MNM is a better version of what we had last season.
Yeah, well, we had Monk mid last season, so I mean...
Say what you want about that. This is definitely a better MNM than we had, even with, lane swapping. It's just they haven't been able to kind of, pull off what we wanted from them. I'm sure what they wanted from themselves, but laning phase has started up. Junglers have both started on their red side, so we'll be avoiding each other a little bit here. As Air going to get the early shove into this lane. Kind of expect that realistically at level 1 anyway.
And here's the thing about the Jarvan. Like, Trouble mentioned it on Desk, and he won the Nordic Championship back in 2019. It must have been at this point or early 2020. But the thing is with him, he used to be known as this facilitating jungler, always out and ganking. He only played Olaf as like the kind of carry jungler himself. But I actually expected, just out of pure PTSD of playing against this guy, that he would early gank the bot lane here. It's like so typical Jarvan, always having to have that bot lane gank after level 2 coming in and cheese, but that's what we're going to take a look at. Sayu will obviously have to outperform Raxi in terms of just clear and the clear speed. You can take a look at them already now. He's already through the red side and almost onto the blue side, and that's the thing with Saju. He's one of the junglers who's taking the most resources into the game, at times having a higher CS score than his laners. And Raxi on the other side, having almost always negative gold against the opposition of the jungler, just because he's using so much time to facilitate the laner's top lane.
Oh, hold on. Kex is going very, very low. One last chain slam might have been enough, but Beasta not overcommitting. Quite happy with the one trade. Going to force the teleport out of Kex, and will be able to get himself a cheetah recall if he wants, or can just continue to control the lane. Nice trade there.
Yeah, not bad at all, and it's just a matchup. It's only going to get worse from here as well. As soon as we start opting into the team fight scenario, Silas, amazing pickup coming into the Malphite, and yeah, I don't know. MNM just kind of, or Riddle just maybe kind of forgetting that champion, or if that was something Beasta was able to play, because it's just every time there's a Malphite that's blind pick, you just got to think Silas. He's always picked into it.
Yeah, it's just a good pick. It's just such a good pick. So actually looking to see for a little something here onto Air. We'll hit him with the Swirl Seed. Obviously only level 4, so no real risk of getting CC'd and dying here. But we'll just be a nice little bit of poke onto Air. Alleviate some of the pressure for Apples in the mid for a momentary wave at least.
And with 1 minute for Drake as well. Like, you gotta think we need to play around priority here. So obviously with the Aphelios and Thresh lane, we'll almost every time have the priority against any bot lane. So unless Raxi can come down and alleviate some of that pressure, they're gonna be pushed in. And that means, well, Riddle, they will have the priority to go out and get vision, can go back a shop one more lane, and then try to go for that setup. Air have the potential to kind of be punishing and go for the lane pressure, but in the end, Apples will have TP, so can try and trade some HP buff or some wave pressure, TP back, and you can get the first trade, because you really don't want the composition of MNM to start snowballing. They will out-team fight you, so you need to stay ahead of the curve.
I do want to take stock of where we are jungle-wise and what the junglers have been up to. So Raxi just finished clearing his spawn 2 of the Krugs. Narrowly out of vision. Thank you very much for toggling that, although now he's been seen. There he is.
There we go.
Is heading over towards this dragon area. The crab will now despawn, so they'll lose that permanent vision in the area. Do obviously have the information on where Raxi is, so you may just catch him out here. This ocean can be pretty rough. He's used to flag and dragon. Getting slowed down by the dragon actually means he will get hit by the Swirl Seed and get chunked out pretty heavily, so just a bit of lost time there for Raxi.
Yeah, Raxi felt confident. They knew Beasta had the TP advantage, obviously, because of the great trade he had earlier in the top side, but in the end, bot lane still with the priority, Apples with the TP, as I mentioned, and Sayu staying near is just not something you want to do. You don't really do a dragon as fast when you're playing Jarvan. You're actually really bad at it. So you kind of need your team to alleviate you on that front. And we just go back to a kind of stale game here, but we do see level 6 coming out from mid lane now, and the rest of the map will also hit that spike soon. As soon as that moment's happen, that's when we can start seeing these teams be proactive. That's when we need to see summoner spells being burned, and the most critical one to burn for me will always be Aura and Apples in the mid lane. Extremely immobile AD carries that will be easy for the composition of MNM to come in and shred.
And it's especially easy to punish onto Apples after you burn that flash on him, because he doesn't have a fresh. He doesn't have the lantern. So maybe where the attention gets put down, as for the moment, it is just this farm for 6. Air getting interrupted on his base.
Ooh,
that was a really nice blind arrow, actually.
So that's great. You kind of delay that reset coming out, and that means you also get to push out the wave Apples. You can have it bounce back unless Blue will block it, which I think he will, under that support right now, by the way. And TB does come through from Air. Now, top lane, Babista does have flash, but he's getting gone on.
Yeah, he's trying to jump away here. Looks for the chains, unable to find him. The Kingslayer here will be big, but it won't be big enough. Sayu finds first blood. Great little pick there in the top side for Riddle.
And that's the easiest kill of his life. No trinket was available for Babista. Resets were coming through for MNM, so they couldn't cross-map to Drake yet, but they are going through with that cross-map play now. So essentially, you trade first blood up in the top side. Sarju will get that kill, so that's great for the jungler. And you go for the Drake here instead, which should comfortably be picked up by MNM. So all in all, both teams are happy with what they got here.
The Dragon's going to get picked up for MNM, like you said. Trading there. Plates are going to get picked up in the top side. And looks like MNM is setting a little 7-7 up here. You were talking about burning those summoner spells. Apples got to be so careful. Bravado off in the wings, though. He smells something's up. Here comes the nothing from Air. And gonna call the playoff.
Yeah, but really good read on the map as well from Bravado. Had they gone for that play, well, Lantern would be up and available, or just generally the flash from Apples. But Blue's not done here. He's still looking, but meanwhile that's going on. Aura is just having a freeze towards this spot side, and there's no vision in the river if you come in from the blue side for MNM right here. So they don't know where Bravado is, they don't know where Starchu is, and that's why they're not feeling comfortable stepping up here.
Well, where they are is currently mid lane. So the Abaris is actually fine, but looks like MNM are just going to go from objective to objective, pick up this Rift Herald for themselves. Will be spotted out on the ward, and that's actually going to pull Bravado and Sayu over. See if they actually try and contest this. Babista has stolen the unstoppable force from Malphite, as the Swirl Seed will hit Blue and reveal where he is. And it looks like Riddle, they're going to bring multiple members over. Air doesn't have the wave right now, and we might be in for a little bit of action here. Watch out for Babista. Looks to go in. That's a lot being laid into Apples. He is just locked down, burning to the ignite, but will be able to survive thanks to the shield. The sleep lands into 2 from Sayu, and Babista now looking to jump away. The chains will land, and down goes the top laner. Once again, the hook gives Bravado a double kill, and Blue will be next up on the menu. Riddle find free.
And that did look good on for MNM in the beginning. They layered the CSA, they almost had Apples, but Bravado, we talked about the Thresh, you need to have the placement ready with the Lantern, and he did. Easy flash out for Apples, and he gets away just barely with his life, and is still looking towards this mid lane. Air does have flash though, so I don't realistically think he's in danger. But it does alleviate some pressure for Apples. He gets 3 gold, he gets to reset.
And no chains, there was no sleep. He was pretty safe there, just able to shuffle away. Yeah. We'll catch this plate, but let's have a little look at that again, because this was honestly, it looks so good to start with.
And there's a lot of summoners being burned as well. Blue had to flash forward here. Great sleeper as well onto Sayu, and you have a lot of CC, but you're layering it onto one person, so it's easy Lantern placement for Bravado. Kex come down after having the priority taken back. Then, yeah, you know, the best case scenario for MNM here is that Bravado got a double kill, and he's got a shutdown now on Thresh, but other than that, it's really not good for you. Riddle really happy with that exchange.
They did get the Rift Herald as well, so at least they didn't get that stolen away, because that could have been absolutely dire if that had been the case. But we're going to shove a large wave in here in the top side. Curious to see where this Rift Herald goes down. Whether or not they use it to try and alleviate Babisa, who, you know, picked this counter matchup and is 0-2 right now, not having the best of performances on the Silas. Partly down to that early gank, and then that engage just went horribly wrong for him in that previous fight.
It's not necessarily because he had bad laning phase. It was more the vision layout after he pushed up, so kind of had a hard time with the wave state then and there. But this Silas pick will still have value when we go on to the team fights. Essentially, what we need is the 5-man knockup or 3-man, whatever you can get out of a stolen ultimate from this Malphite from Kex here. And with 1 minute and 20 seconds onto the next Drake, we will be starting to see priority coming out from lanes, the vision being built up. And once again, they have Baron. Oh, good hook.
Blues, he's getting put to sleep. He looks for the knock-up, the bullet time, into 2, into the Cataclysm. Shut down from Mihabaros. Not going to find the flag and drag onto Bravado, though. And MNM just going to walk away with a nice little pick.
They thought they could get the one-shot down, but took too long actually killing Blue. A lot of mobility onto this Rakan, and Raxi was in the area, which they kind of should have known. It is the Drake setup, as we talked about. And the luxury of MNM right now is that they do have the Rift Herald as well if they just want to get instant prio in a lane. Realistically speaking, I don't think you get to one-shot one of the turrets here. It only takes two platings. And right now, all turrets are basically full HP outside of the bot lane turret, of course. We'll see the replay, though, here. It is a great hook coming out from Bravado, but mobility already here, great knock-up, and then the bullet time is just shredding them out. And Lantern, just not enough good, not really a nice placement coming out from the Cataclysm that just kind of solved it.
Flash.
Oh my god.
Shuffle! No flash for Apples. He is going to get cooked, and Raxi finds the kill. Chains do connect into the Swirl Seed, actually dodged away by the Flay. Air's going low, and now Sayu gets a little bit of extra. 1-for-1 in the mid lane. Air goes down.
And Sayu is so fed right now. He's already finished his mythic item. He's sitting with a Leandra's Anguish. And as a jungler, this is what I said. Sayu just from Riddle gets so many resources out of nowhere. He loves to be the one getting in counter jungle, having the tempo ahead of him. And of course, he's going to have tempo against a Jarvan. So with the mid laner down, with Apple still with the TP, it is easy for them to pick this up. But there's also TP from MNM. They could TP and turn on this, but they choose not to.
The pings were coming down. It looked like they were going to go for it, but ultimately pull it off. Cloud Drake is what we're working with in this game. And honestly, for a team that likes to press R a lot, MNM can be happy with that one. Same for Riddle, to be honest, as well.
This is great because now you kind of avoid the neutral objective. That means often that you will have team fighting going down, and with the composition you have drafted from Riddle, you benefit of small skirmishes. Having these vision pockets where you can play around the pressure, get a hook out, get a Chains of Corruption out, get a pick and get out. That's kind of what we want to see from them. Having a team fight, you need to be kind of fed or always have the summoner spells up on your carries before really being able to play out against the composition MNM have.
And Raxi's the only one to get that tower plate gold there from the Restore Charge. But Beaster just going to look for a light trade with Kex, but at this point, actually starting to struggle to really do any meaningful damage down up here. Kex actually trading pretty effectively into him. MNM are grouping up in towards this bot side of the map, though, as Rift Herald has just gone down, so they wanted to make sure that gets charged off. And MNM kind of chilling out a little bit now.
Yeah, you can definitely see that there's not much to fight for these teams when the objectives are not up. They tried to get a skirmish around blue buff, but even then, both teams need to reset, and Mythic items are starting to be picked up by the side of MNM as well. We can see Hyperos now also with the Mythic item on Misfortune, so definitely something to play for, especially when Aura hadn't finished his. And that's some pressure that is going to be easily to shut down or to go down on him now when you have Raxi, Cataclysm ready. If you can burn some summoner spells from them before the next objective is up, that will be key, because then when the team fight is going on, well, no flash on Aphelios.
Oh, looking for the engage. Apples flashes out, gets the chain.
Oh!
Great chain lash. But Babisa means he will be able to actually jump away to safety. That was close.
That was a really nice abscond up Doc coming out there. I thought he was just going to die to the turret range there. Once again, great flash from Apples, but with Apples now with that flash down, that is something to play for with the next strike. And if you can get Aura's flash down as well, as you can already see, Raxi is hovering around the area, then that could be perfect for MNM.
Hold on, that Q didn't hit. He just bended the bullet.
Well, it obviously did hit.
Well, yeah, but come on.
Yes.
Don't defend AD carries.
I will. I will. I'm a support here. I'll defend them.
I forget you're a goddamn. Actually, if anyone,
You've seen me carry you in solo queue when I go on Smurf, all right? So I mean,
if anyone should have a reason to flame AD carries, I feel like supports are probably the ones who deserve it the most.
yeah. So
You
I
have
can
to
give
sit in
credit
lane
and I
with
can
those
flame
guys.
them at the same time. So no worries there.
Also, my 2 CS per minute LeBlanc wasn't that bad. That was a rough game.
It was pretty
It was-
terrible. And
it
meanwhile,
was-
that is happening, Jake. There is the Rift Herald being taken on the side of Sarju, but he's having no pressure, so I think he's
Yep,
having to
meanwhile,
flash
in
out.
the bot lane, Graviton into the Lantern, into
Whoa.
the plan. The bounce house is there. And MNM lose 2 bot side. A double kill for Orr.
How did they get away with that, though? This is unreal. Sarju is soloing the Rift Herald. They didn't even have pressure in top. They didn't have pressure in mid. Meanwhile, that happens. Kex is roamed towards the bot side, and they get everything on the map. Normally, we talk about a situation where MNM could have gotten a cross map when they saw Kex was bot, but Sarju just removed that straight under their nose. Not even Rift Herald getting, and it was greedy, but it worked out for Riddle. Really nice play.
Do you remember when I said at the beginning of this game MNM were looking better from last season? Yeah. Well, Riddle Apples gonna
I
prove
should
me
say
wrong
that.
here. Gets knocked up once again on the receiving end of a bit of love from MNM's jungle mid.
And it's just that easy. That's why you need to make sure that you just keep having the carries of Riddle with no flashes. Because they're so easy to pick up. Immobile, and if Bravado is not in the area, well, it's just like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we did have that replay. It was as easy as it looks, really. You just Malphite R after Lantern. And the mid lane, good pick there. Forcing, but Riftel's going to get placed here in the mid lane, and Ed's going to TP in. It's going to be able to do a fair amount of damage to it. I don't think he's going to be able to kill it in time. It won't lose his tower, which is pretty nice for him. Does mean one solid siege from the side of Riddle will be the end of that, but for now, in an okay place. Finished up his Leandris. We actually take stock of where we are item-wise. Duskblade finished up onto Apples, so we got Invisible Varus this game. Pretty much everyone's finished their mythics bar the supports. Kind of the standard for what you get is but Beast needs to be careful. He is kind of blind checking. Does find out Kex and steals away the unstoppable force.
Ooh.
So now they have their own Malphite to work with.
And no flashes on Sarju, Bravado, and Apples. Meanwhile, all the members of MNM does have their flash, so I don't know if this is the team fight you want to have on Riddle.
Yeah, this could be a little bit rough. Mihabaris will take the Swell Seed, and that's actually going to do almost a quarter
Oh,
of
look
his
at
health
Blue,
with the
though. Look at
burn.
Blue.
Can Blue get the engage? Can he find the turnaround for the team? Kex is trying to zone MNM away. Swirlseed's going to hit onto air. Here's the charm. Here's the fly. Everybody is getting knocked up into the Cataclysm, into the bullet time. Riddle's health bars are being obliterated, but Kex launches in and gets a kill onto Blue in response. But now Babisa looking to hunt him down. Bravado with a clutch hook over the wall, and the arrow is there. Invisible Varus shuffled back, and then Lantern back out of the fight. Now Air's on the run as Kex is looking to run him down. Lantern's going wide. Air flashes out from the arrow, and now Mihabaris looking to rejoin into here. The flay's not going to quite hit, and Kex burning, but not burning low enough. MNM trade out equally while securing the dragon.
Yeah, it was a tough fight. They didn't have their summoner spells, but I also feel like MNM Gaming didn't really layer that CC properly. As we take a look at the replay, Blue is coming out quite early, flashing in on them, getting the knock up, and the rest of the team is just not there for the follow-up. So essentially that means a lot of them get out. You get to get the 2 picks here, but Kex coming in with a clutch 3-man ultimate, and after that, it's easy for Apples to get the piercing arrow here. As you said, turns invisible after getting the kill, so even though Air gets a clutch Shurima shuffle, there's just no one to look at. He's invisible. You didn't know he was there.
Who would have thought it? Varus is now invisible. Working to season 11.
Well, yeah. AD carries turning invisible was not what we needed for this season, but we got it.
Which
Well, he's got camouflage now, but this is literally turning invisible, right?
Oh yeah, there's a difference, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Well, he did used to go invisible, like where you could
Kai'Sa
literally
has it.
just, yeah.
Oh god, I forget Kai'Sa could do that.
Taking a look onto the map now again, like 3 minutes onto the next Drake. You know, Rift Heralds are not going to spawn again. The next objective will be Baron, and that's why we can see a lot of the people are roaming up towards this side here. So with the bot lane and the mid lane for Riddle now, you can alleviate some of that pressure that Air keeps getting for them. And with that, you can try and create these vision pockets. As you can see right now, they've created around the Baron pit. Really risky for MNM to walk up, and If they do, they might just face a chains of corruption. They might just hit a death sentence here. So that's kind of what we need to do on the side of Riddle, just keeping this coming. But at the same time, you have the map open on the side of MNM. You can't just wait to the next objective spawn and then play around it again. But some of the spells are up now for Riddle, so if they can keep them up for the next fight, they're looking a lot better than they just did at that Drake fight.
Yeah, you also have to keep in mind, meanwhile, while Riddle are putting so much effort into getting Baron control, Babista in the bot side will be able to take this tower. He did a lot of work to that top lane tower as well. So this locked gold that is there for MNM is actually fairly easy to take. But the Baron getting started up could mean this could get a little bit hairy for MNM. They will know that this is going on. Blue does have himself the ulti, and we're looking for the fight. Blue's already poked out pretty heavily. There goes the hook, and now it's time to get onto this. Knockup lands onto 2, into a big, big bullet time. Blue's already lost his life. A shuffle back from air onto 3, and now the members are getting melted through. The Infernum doing so much work, and Riddle doing a lot on the back. But Babista looks for the assassination onto Apples, but the hook is going to be huge. Riddle lose 1, but they get a clean sweep onto the rest of MNM. And they get the Baron.
That was sick from Kegs. I mean, you don't often compliment Malphite mechanics, but, you know, that flash ultimate, great utilization of knowing that some of the spells was down from the side of MNM. They used a lot of flashes to get onto them at the last Dragon fight, and with this turn here, they get the Baron, and I think MNM was just being a bit too fast on that play as well. They had the utilities to actually play a team fight composition, but they were too spread out. You can see Raxley trying to come down from behind here in the pit, and TP from Babista coming up in the top side. So the map is just so split. It's an easy turn for Riddle right here, and after the ultimates comes in, they're just not layered. It's done. Babista's been put to sleep. Now he gets the Malphite ultimate, and it's just too late for getting these knockups. Really well played around the pressure from Riddle, and I love that turn.
I also, you got looking back at that replay, Blue got poked out. Like, he was like half health before he got ulted by Keck. So there was no time for him to ever press R and look for some kind of a turnaround. He was just a free kill to start the fight off. And with a very early Baron for Riddle, they are looking to up the tempo of this game. As Miha Baris got the Gale Force, got the Collector, but into these Baron waves, he's going to struggle, and into those arrows as well. Going to be getting chunked out every time he walks up to try and hit this cannon. This tower may just go down.
Yeah, it's going to go down eventually here, and it's just what we talked about in the early game. It's about staying ahead of the curve on Riddle now, and you saw that gold lead right there. That is definitely ahead of the curve. And with the Baron now being put in to place, you have the Varus. It's easy to siege down. You just need to stay far away. They can essentially not deal with this cannon wave without stepping too far up, but Bravado, it's not in the area. He's playing Lantern duty here, so they're not really getting punished at all. But with this 15 seconds onto Drake, you have all the pressure you need in the world, except for the bot side, which Sayu's pushing out. So you need to look for plates now.
Cataclysms onto Or. Lantern gets him out. Blue is going to dodge away on the hook, but Raxi, he's the one who's to take it. Graviton will lock him in place, and Kex gets the knock up onto Air. Air dodging away for the moment. The Infernum spreads from the Moonlight Vigil, but Babista burning very, very low as he will lose his life. Bravado secures the kill, and Riddle cashing in on MNM yet again. Air dodges on the Swirl Seed, and the Azir Tower will crumble, followed by this tier 2.
And I understand they went for that play. They saw Sayu down in bot side, but Bravado once again, clutch placement with the Lantern ready for Or getting out of the Cataclysm here. Didn't even have a flash, so he would have been an easy target had it not been for that Dark Passage.
And this will be the dragon for Riddle. So do 2 dragons apiece, and they took 2 towers in the mid lane so far with their Baron buff. So it's kind of take stock where we are item-wise, because Apples is going to get harder and harder to pick due to the fact that he's gone this Edge of Night. So it has that spell shield. Obviously got the Dust Blade. We talked about that one. 2 items onto Or as well. But let's have a look at this fight in the mid lane again.
Yeah, so coming in for it, like, great flash and drag coming in with the Cataclysm, and you see the Lantern placement as I talked about. Sayu is also making his way back to the fight now. You see the watch out Ebor, whatever that little seed bomb is called thing. There we go. Hits Babista with the slow, and that's honestly crucial in him getting put down as well. So great disengage coming out from Riddle, and then great follow-up for the fight to get Babista down.
And I mean, that Kingslayer didn't really heal him for much. I think he was ignited by Bravado. Hence why there wasn't such a big heal on it. But now it's going to be even harder because Kex has bought the Oblivion Orb. So we'll be applying some Grievous Wounds. Meaning that Babista, life only gets a little bit harder from here. You can't rely on your Kingslayer to keep you alive.
That is such an alpha move, just getting that Oblivion Orb instead of getting the Bramble Vest, which you would usually see on a Malphite. I don't think I've ever seen one opt in for the AP variation of it. So
the reason I like this is in his head, Babista's probably not going to really be wanting to auto-attack him. He's going to be looking more for ore or apples. So he can't actually apply the Grievous. But with the fact that he has an Oblivion Orb, all he has to do is Q, which is point and click. And then suddenly that Kingslayer becomes less effective. I actually really like it here. And it is also alpha as hell.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It also helps you with some extra AP scalings for your ultimate as well. So there's really nothing to complain about there. So
it's not fair that Babista's ult gets to hit hard. Well, Kex's ult gets to hit harder with Babista than it hits with Kex. So he wants to hit hard as well.
Oh, this could be a bit dangerous up here. They have the vision around the river, but Apples need to be careful. Staying around these outer turrets so late into the game often, I mean, they often don't mean anything. That's basically a dead turret already, but he's doing a good job of staying far. He knows that they're around as I say that.
Oh, he's getting the chains off, but they're going to go wide. Apples, way too greedy, my dude. Raxi's going to find himself the shutdown.
You know, he wasn't really greedy. He was just not anticipating that Air would actually roll up there. Because he did stand behind. He wasn't just casually farming the wave, but maybe a bit greedy recall. But it's as I said, outer turret at this point onto the game, they're just really a trap. Like, don't feel comfortable around them. They're basically dead.
Yeah, especially one that low, like you said. Isn't actually going to go down yet, though. Wave is going to crash into it, and I don't think it's going to be enough to finish that tower off, even though it's pretty low.
This doesn't really matter here. It's just like we fight from around the pressure. It's going to be all about the neutral objectives now for these two teams, especially for MNM, because that comp is just designed to get a lead in team fights. Whereas on the side of Riddle, you can actually just play for the pressure through lanes. If you start sieging up, you have the poke from the Varus. You get the kite back. We've already seen the Lantern, which you can help Aura get out, even if he's overstepped. And now to make matters worse for MNM, he does still have Summoner spells up again. So with this Baron coming up, you need to respect the damage coming out from Aphelios with the right combo here. But he is getting rid of the red one now, so it might take a while.
Sniper and Infernum. Blue will take the Swirl Seed, and they're actually going to use the Drowsy. Kex is looking to come over the wall, so Blue actually able to survive this, and now Raxi maybe taking the opportunity to jump in on to Sayu. Sayu flashes away, the Cataclysm's used, but the Lantern used in such a clutch time. But Blue, he is mad right now, and Sayu's coming in, two-man knockoff on Kex into the Infernum ultimate. They push everybody back as the slam comes in from Babista. Mihabaris tries to jump forward, but he can't quite get the damage, and it's already a double kill picked up for Apples. Mihabaris on the run, and Raxi just trying to keep his AD carry alive, but under the tower, Kex will go. The Lantern means he is nice and safe. And MNM losing 3 members yet again.
And I love everything coming out from Riddle. We already said in the early game their composition was going to be harder to play. It was MNM with the easy to execute team composition, but Kex, not mechanically gifted on this Malphite, but he's definitely really smart about his placements. And Bravado, once again, bailing Stardew out with a Lantern. These Dark Passages has been so clutch, but I think they're going to be backing up here. Their HP bars are low, and they don't want to risk the 50-50. It's not even a 50-50. They don't even have their jungler alive. They're just going to reset and try to go for the Drake that's respawning now.
Interestingly enough, Raxi actually didn't have Smite, but I don't think it would have mattered. They were too low. Let's have a look at that fight again, though.
And once again, that's the Lantern placement. And just take a look at Kex. Like, he's literally just standing there waiting for 3 members to come up. And as he sees them, gets the perfect knock up into the CC or just the Moonlight Vigil from the Aphelios as well. And yeah, you get some decent amount of damage with Babista, but in the end, it's just not enough. Half your team is already dead. Then Kex flashing over, even forcing the flash out of my Hyperos. So that just makes it even harder for them to play around that in the next team fight as well, when you need to dodge this Malphite ultimate. Kex, once again, been really crucial in team fights.
Looks like MNM may just have to give this 3rd dragon up. Not really willing to stand around and commit for it. May just be happy trading the top lane tier 1, which is a breaths away from falling down.
Yeah, I mean, that was
all we're really going to be able to gain here. They might actually sneak a Baron. Lantern used by Bravado will spot them out with a control ward. Dragon is going to get cancelled, actually going to get finished by Sayu. And even with the Azir, very fast Baron, MNM weren't quite feeling it with the members coming over too quick.
Yeah, usually it's fast, but he's not opted in for second item Nashor 2, so he's gone for the Banshee's Veil instead. So that Baron shredding is just not there yet for this champion either. And with the poke coming out for Varus as well, it's really hard for them to stay in a area around the neutral objective for a longer time there. And now with blue buff as well, well, he's going to stay comfortably in the back line. And there's a lot of pressure being put onto MNM now with the Cloud Soul being one Drake away from Riddle, and some of the champions there really benefiting up from that. A champion that's immobile like Apples with the Varus can get some extra movement speed after popping that Chains of Corruption. Kex obviously benefiting huge of getting movement speed and having the CDR or ability haste, if you prefer, after ulting as well. So it's just a lot of pressure going on to MNM. They need to find a key fight soon, and luckily Aura doesn't have flash, so that's a huge backline damage dealer you can take out if you pick him up. But it's about having pressure on the map, and they just don't have that right now. Need to push bot lane out. They need to get vision of their own red side jungle. You can see even that is in the vision of Riddle, and with this Baron coming up, that's not going to be your priority. You're always going to be looking to get this side of the map back, and with the pressure coming out from Riddle, it's just really hard for them.
Looking like they want to start this one up. Blue now been spotted out by the minion wave, so that is one dead Ricard, to be honest. Blue. The best is actually buying some time. May just look for an execute.
He's out.
Should be able to get it.
You don't know it yet. He is out.
Although Or's found him. I don't think he's out, mate.
He's out. He's out.
He's out of the game. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Azir Torres gone up, so it's giving them a bit of a place to hide behind for the moment. They're trying to buy some time onto Kex, but Bisa steals away the unstoppable force, and Kex actually takes a lot of damage there. It's a nice little turnaround, and to be fair, I'll give Blue this. Baron wasn't taken because of him.
I don't think it would have been anyway. You'd need to come up and force the fight around it. Maybe you would have been turned upon, but yeah. But let's see how that pans out then, because you do get the Baron started again now, Jake, and still no summoner spells on Hyperos as well either, so watch out for that CC, watch out for Kex with the turnaround.
Go on, Babisa. He has that he has that charge. He can go in. He gets the free man into the bullet time. That's the Baron secured by Riddle, however. Babisa goes golden in the middle of everyone. Flashes away for the moment. The flag and drag onto Or. The two-man slam onto the backline. They get shuffled back, but the lilting lullaby is going to put everybody to sleep. And Riddle just wipe MNM off the map. 4 members down.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was so beautiful. I love the CC that's laid out from Riddle there. Kex with the ultimate, Sayu coming in with the sleep, and then the Aphelios with the long-range Calibrum to finish it up. That was absolutely stunning. I can't wait to watch that in a replay. And you know what the worst part is? That was probably the best fight MNM was going to get out of that one. It was a really good ultimate coming out from Babista, but in the end, just not enough. And now they're just shoving down these lanes with the Baron up minions.
Yeah, and it feels like this might just be the death sentence for MNM here. Tower number 2, tower number 2, tower number 1, tower number 2 crumble very fast. Inhibitor's quick to follow as well. They're not going to close the game. They got a lot of gold from basically acing MNM. So going to reset, going to spend that gold up, and we get to look at the replay once more.
Yeah, and in the end, it's kind of a 50-50 here, or it's really not. Avraxi's 14, Sayu's level 17, so, I mean, it's a bit hard getting in there, actually having that smite. Once again, ultimate. Actually, let's just take a look at it. Kex, once again, no summoner spells on the AD carry. Flash, Key coming in with the sleep, and then look at the Calibrum. Oh, was it actually, or was it the Varus? Maybe it was the Varus. I think it was the Varus.
I think it was the Varus key.
Yeah, okay.
I think because of the skin, it looks kind of like a Varus, like a Calibrum. However, Or just going to shove this bot lane, and this is the last turret that isn't defending a Nexus standing now, the bot lane.
That's the crucial part as well. That's the crucial part as well, because you're able to knock down 2 inhibitors, you got the preferred reset, you have Baron buff, and now 30 seconds until Soul, and they're still just pushing down these lanes. They don't even have to worry about a setup, because they own the entirety of MNM's red side jungle. So as an exit objective, you can just go back to this Cloud Soul, and then you can knock down the last standing turret you actually have here.
Do you remember when everyone on the desk said they were worried about Riddle's comp?
I was worried about Riddle's comp. I came out of that draft and was like, man, can I change my prediction? I'm glad I did.
Farm remembers.
Didn't you predict MNM here as well, Jay?
Yeah, I did.
Well.
Hey, man. I didn't know Riddle were going to smurf it this hard.
Sometimes it do be like that, but it seems like they want to utilize all the Baron buff they can here. They don't need the Cloud Soul to actually finish out this game. They just need to keep up the pressure in If you pressure them enough, well, they might just crack. There's not much of that base left on the side of MNM. So last turret will fall here in bot lane, and that means inhibitor will be opened up.
Yeah, all of the towers, bar one, have been stripped away from MNM. It is going to have to be a miracle of a fight for MNM to turn this one around. Lantern has been used, so a little bit of breathing room. But Cloud Soul on the map and Babisa hit by the Swirl Seed means he's going to start to get cooked a little bit. Leandri's doing a lot of burn. And they're slowly but surely looking to try and take this inhibitor down, but they're not actually doing too much to it yet. As soon as I say that, it does get started at.
Waiting for the minion waves. Here comes the engage.
Oh,
no, he took it
alone. He has to flash the charmer to the bullet time. 4 members getting caught. Here comes Air. Look for the shuffle. Gets it onto one. The shutdown's already been picked up. Now, sorry, putting members to sleep, and Riddle are just walking through MNM. The gold lead is too big, and it's a triple kill for Apples. That is what MNM didn't need. That is what Riddle needed to close the game out. 36 minutes on the clock, and the Nexus will fall. MNM, they kept trying to force the engages, but it bit them in the bum.
I thought for sure that Oro was going to go down there. Keck stealing his lantern. I was honestly a bit lost for words that happened, but Apples showing off. And I gotta say, Apples is one of those mid laners that's been really underwhelming to me. Being put in Seraphine, being put in Karma duty, and just never having him impact. But today, he played really nicely around that, only making a few oversteps. We saw it in the top side, but outside of that, great placement, great positioning, and always up when Bravado had the lantern. When he didn't, well, then you just walk back and you wait for the next wave, or to Bravado have that pressure. And Riddle, in all honesty, just executed so well in their composition.
Yeah, they did. Riddle, that was great. Well, we're just, you know what? I don't want to break this down. I'm gonna shut up. You shut up as well at home. I know what you're laughing at. Get a break. We'll see you in a second.
So you remember that first hurdle that you talked about, Orcs? You remember the first hurdle that we discussed, which is don't int it in the lane phase. MNM didn't quite manage to pass over that. I mean, it was okay, but then I remember I was just listening to that game, and I just remember Trouble screaming every time a team fight broke out. What the hell was that bullet time?
You did me very dirty, scoundrel. You just did me very dirty.
I'm sorry. I don't get you to sign a clause saying everything that is said off air is kept secret. But seriously, some of those team fights were rather abysmal from MNM.
I think this really highlights how rough MNM has it in the communications department. Whatever goes internally in the team, everyone was on their own page. No one was following up. They had literally, we talked with them, like the 2 flashes are down on Varus and Aphelios. It was over. They had 7 abilities that they could immobilize their opponents with, and they just weren't using them all together. And you know what? Props to Riddle, because that Malphite and the Thresh, like the Thresh going undying, what? The Malphite undying the entire game, it was insane. They used their coordination, they used their team play to perfection, and it was really, really refreshing to watch from Riddle.
Some of that coordination between Kext and Bravado and a lot of the ganks and the team fight scenarios was really nice to see, actually. They had a really, really good execution, especially on taking out the important members of the MNM in those team fight scenarios. And speaking of Kext, got him here for an interview, so I'm going to chat to him now. My first question, Kext,
hello.
to you is the bot lane inhibitor fight. How mad was your AD carry when you took the lantern from him?
I mean, the second I realized that, I already saw that it was meant for him, but you know, in my defense, I did more damage than him this game, so you know, I think I earned the lantern there.
you wanted to keep your KDA intact, mate. You wanted to keep your KDA intact. You still won the game, of course, though, so it didn't matter too much. Obviously, this was a really important game for you. Like, you were both 1 and 5 in the group stages. You're fighting for that, really, I think, arguably fighting for that 4th spot in playoffs, but also trying to avoid the potential of relegation. So this was a really important match for you versus MNM. It's a really good to get a win. What is there anything that you've been trying to work on as a team to improve how you play the game, how you approach the game? Because obviously it has been a bit of a shaky start for Riddle.
I mean, I think our biggest issue overall was just us not, I guess, playing enough together. Maybe it's like lack of synergy. I don't know exactly. But realize that today, like, is a very important match, and tomorrow kind of the same. Like, this week is in general very important because we play basically, like, us, Kova, and MNM are all the bottom 3 teams. So we're all fighting to stay out of relegation or making it into playoffs. So I don't know, maybe it's because we're under pressure, but today everything just clicked. We were all on the same page, everyone listened to each other, and the game just felt really smooth to play overall.
It looked smooth, you guys. Again, like I said, some of the synergy between you and Bravado when you were going for either ganks or team fight plays, it looked really good the way that you executed on it. So I think that both of you had a stellar game, especially. How do you plan to approach Kova? Because they're an interesting team. They have kind of an interesting jungler, bit more carry orientated, has some weird picks. How are you guys thinking that you'll approach Kova without giving away anything massive? How do you guys think that you wanted to approach Kova?
I mean, I guess nothing really specific. We're probably just gonna try to play our game. I think if we can do like we did today, like just talk a lot to get a good draft in, I don't think Kova can surprise us with anything. I feel like it's more on us, like how we approach the game, than how, like, if they're gonna like outplay us. Like, if we don't, I guess, so to say, troll hard, I think we should have the game in the bag.
Yeah, well, hopefully you guys, this is the strongest I think I've seen you in the NLC so far. You also now hold the record over MNM 2-0, so that puts you in a good position versus MNM anyway in terms of tiebreakers, because you have the head-to-head for them 2-0, so that's obviously a great position to be in. Kex, honestly, I wish you all the luck for tomorrow. Obviously, it's a big fight for those playoff spots, so hopefully you continue to perform, and yeah, I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
All right, I believe I'm welcoming Professor Orcs to the table with a play that he wanted to break down. So let's take a look at it, Orcs.
Yeah, so in this one, we have a 2k gold advantage for Riddle, but this is an opportunity for MNM to come back into the game. So in this scenario, it's actually a pretty risky Baron for Riddle, and the reason being is we have this big choke point here where a Cataclysm can just lock everyone up together, and you set up for a perfect bullet time. You can see that the team is waiting because they want their top laner to come in from this direction and then join the fight here before they go. And I think this is where the issue comes for MNM. They're too slow at setting up and they're too slow at coordinating. Because the way the play pans out is that Riddle actually look for the engage first here, and that makes a big difference because they get outside of this choke point with this great Malphite ult coming in here to get away. Raxi is having the complete wrong idea here. He's going for the Baron steal. You should focus on the fight. So as the play continues, we see the bullet time comes out, but it's way too late. You see it's coming in this direction, but already the side of Riddle has moved forward to here, and the fight is just completely whiffed by this bullet time. So we continue along, and it's only now that the Jarvan ult comes in, and it is a nice combo with your Azir shuffle, but just none of this is coordinated. And it's only now that we see Babista coming in from over here. And I think this is the big issue that the difference between Riddle and MNM is we talked about how the more coordinated team would win, and Riddle were just all on the same page. They knew they wanted to peel off the Baron. They knew they wanted to fight. Raxi was looking for the steal. The rest of the team was waiting for Babista, and ultimately MNM just did not have the coordination to win that one out.
Honestly, I believe that everything that could have gone wrong right there for MNM it did. Babista was too slow on the teleport. Raxi wanted to steal whilst the Rakan wanted to go in. Then Air shuffles the entire enemy team onto his misfortune. It was a big disaster. And honestly, props to Riddle because they were able to pick apart their fight so well.
Absolutely. And I think one of the other big things is when you have a Sylas clearly wanting to take a Malphite ultimate, you can't have him join the fight late because that's usually going to be your initial engage tool. You need to have him there ready to take the ultimate and get into the fight straight away. And that was one of the problems. He was just way too late to the punch. And that was kind of the way a lot of the team fights played out for MNM. Lots of whiffed misfortune ultimates, lots of slow Sylas engages. Didn't really work out. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll set up for our second game of the day, Fnatic Rising versus Kova.